Very warmly welcome to Gender Equality in Animation. We have with us power women in the old power station. And I will first introduce them to you, although I believe most of you are familiar with them. First with us is Tina Smrekar from Slovenia. She is an animation producer, coordinator of cultural and educational projects, visual artist. She is a co-founder of and producer at Finta Studio, where she has, together with the author, realized several short animated films by Špela Čadež. Since 2015, Tina Smrekar has been a board member of Slovenian Animated Film Association, and since 2018, an ambassador of the Emil Animation Awards. She has completed her MFA studies in photography at the Academy of Visual Arts in Leipzig, Germany, and received a degree in product design from Academy of Fine Arts in Ljubljana. For several years now, she has been collaborating regularly with the University of Nova Gorica School of Arts, helping young talents develop across media. Maja Gehrig is an animation filmmaker and teacher based in Zurich. She attended a preliminary design course at the Zurich School of Art and Design in 1999-2000. Then she studied media art for 2 years at the University of Applied Sciences Aarau, followed by an internship at ST Jonfish in Tallinn, Estonia. In 2003-2005, she completed the animation degree program at the Lucerne University of Applied Sciences and Arts. Her short animation films use a wide range of techniques and have gained international recognition. Her latest work, Average Happiness, won several prizes at different festivals, including the Best Swiss Animation Award in 2020. Besides making her own films, she teaches at Lucerne University of Applied Sciences and Arts on the Bachelor Animation course. Together with Elie Chapius, she is co-president of AIPA Switzerland. Luce Grosjean founded Sève Films, a distribution company aimed at promoting student films in animation festivals, but also young talented directors in 2014. In 2017, she associated with Miyu Productions to create Miyu Distribution, specialized in festival distribution and international sales. 2018 was a great year for the company. The films she distributed included Negative Space and Garden Party, both of which were nominated for Oscars in 2018. Bloostraat 11, the Annecy Crystal winner, and I'm Going Out for Cigarettes, which was awarded in Locarno. With us also Matea Milić, who has a degree in art history and Slovak language and literature from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in Zagreb. It's true. She has worked for Hula Hop production company since 2012, where she took part in the production and distribution of various documentary and fiction films. Family films, Nije ti život pjesma Havaja, Lijepo mi je s tobom znaš, The Diary of Diana B, to Slovenian audience is known as Dnevnik Dijane Budisavljević, and Slumbering Concrete, Betonski spavači, as well as the distribution of feature animated films. She has been the producer of the World Festival of Animated Film Animafest Zagreb since 2015. She has participated in juries and selection committees of a number of festivals in Croatia and abroad, and she coordinates the International Network of Animation Festivals, CEEA Animation Festival Network. Why I have took time to read these biographies is just to show you that they are active in different fields within the animation, from education to production, to distribution, and involved in the festivals in different ways, which gives them a good introspection of the gender situation in the field. At the end of the table with us we also have Ines Kežman, who is a consultant for international collaboration in the cultural and audiovisual sectors at Motovila. Motovila is a non-governmental institute aimed to promoting transnational and cross-sectoral cooperation in cultural and creative sectors. They implement information, advisory, training, networking, promotional and research activities dedicated to empower representatives of culture and creative sectors. And they are also the Creative Europe and Media Desk for Slovenia, and as such an important support to the authors, producers, distributors and festivals in acquisition of European funds in Slovenia. And this is why I will ask Ines first to give us like a bit of a framework, maybe also to help us understand why perhaps you have been noticing recently more attention given to gender equality question, the festivals, talks, at least in Slovenia, we were witnessing several talks on gender equality or position of women filmmakers, also in other festivals. So first I would ask you to start.
Thank you, Urška, and thank you, Animafest team, for this initiative. So hello everybody. Urška already explained, we run the Creative Europe Desk, and before we start this discussion on gender equality in animation, I will briefly present what is EU doing in the field and how this is reflected through EU funding programs in general and not just in animation. So more than a year ago, the Commission adopted a gender equality strategy. This paper sets out policy framework for next 5 years on how to advance gender equality at all levels. So gender equality is also a cultural policy objective at EU level. Why so? Because, you know, these creative sectors have also considerable influence on our beliefs, values and perception of gender issue. So if we are looking at the available data, female artists and cultural professionals across the EU typically have less access to creation and production resources, are paid much less than men, and are underrepresented in leadership and other decision-making positions, as well as on the art market. And women are also frequently victims of sexism, gender stereotypes, and also sexual harassment. Data collected by European Women's Audiovisual Network shows although 44% of film school graduates in Europe are women, only 16% of public funding goes to film directed by women. And only 1 in 5 films is directed by women. And also the research made by the association Collective 50/50 showed that there is a clear and persistent gender imbalance between jobs in the film sector. For example, we have female-dominated fields like hair and makeup, casting and costume design, and also male-dominated fields like the screenwriting, sound, cinematography, set management, camera, music, and so on. But also we have balanced fields like editing, set design, and production. And also for a number of years, Creative Europe Media program is collecting data on gender balance. Here are some data, like only 30% of applicants were women. Over 50% of participants in supported training schemes are women. That's great. But out of 20 films chosen for the selective distribution scheme, only 6 were directed by women. But a good thing is that 45% of festivals that are supported by media have female the directors are women, so that's great. And how is EU committed to improve gender balance? Through the programs, by collecting data, supporting studies, supporting awareness-raising campaigns, but also they are encouraging you to rethink your way of work and your strategy, like on the organizational level and on the project level as well. So you have to tell them how you will ensure the gender balance, inclusion, diversity, and representativeness also in your application forms. So my advice would be to take small steps to revise what are you already doing. So you don't have to prepare a big strategy, but at least think about what are you already doing, and you can always do more, and like constantly ask yourselves if you're doing enough in this field, maybe just for introductions. So I wish you all a fruitful debate.
Okay, thank you, Ines. I would like to add to this like more statistical perspective. I asked you to think about the facts, so to call them, and maybe reflect of the facts in your respective fields, so education, festivals, as authors, maybe as in distribution relations. What are these like self-evident roles, gender roles, or positions or stereotypes, and maybe reflect on them a bit, so that we can see where do they come from. Are they mere stereotypes, or are they a result of I don't know, conditions, production conditions, or other conditions that you work in? I don't know, maybe Tina, could you start?
Well, someone has to. I would say, can you hear me? Yeah, I guess so. It's never black and white, but the systemic occurrences and the world, the system that we live in, gives us a framework also, and having role models in what we do is the first thing that's always in our gives us a way of what we are doing. So the more women filmmakers that are promoted, the more women filmmakers, directors are on the stage, the more I think it's also active also for the younger generations to start working and to continue. But of course, this also has to do with the situations of how the fundings go. I mean, as Ines already said, how funding is distributed, and how the animation also, if we put it into the sector of animation, which at least in our part of the world is very much underfunded, and the amount of work that has to go in, that it is more usual than women tend to do it. But we have to know that what we are dealing with here is more independent animation. I think once we go into the industry sector and into somewhere where there is money, where there is some talk of monetization and capitalization, that's where things change very quickly. So I think those are two very different things that we are talking about, or have to be aware of when we are talking about all of these matters. Just as a, I don't know, intro point, but I don't know where the discussion will lead.
Okay, thank you. Luce?
Okay, that's no, it's interesting that you're raising this point, because we were speaking about that yesterday, and yeah, of course, from my perspective and how things are balanced, and what I've been perceiving in my job is that I started my company 7 years ago, and I decided to do short film distribution, because I did that by chance with Goblin's short films, and little by little I started to understand how it worked. And no one was really in this area, and so there were room, and it was not like competitive, and I liked the fact that I was learning in the same time that I was doing. but I was seeing also other distributors around me, more from live action, and they were always on the tables where people were speaking, and the first people that was like starting to give me the possibility to talk about my work or just like express my the way that I was working was women who were running festivals, and this is how I will say the beginning of the success of the company started, is other women curator, programmers, like starting to say, hey, we like what you do, and just take the mic and express that. And that has been really something that has been super important in the way that we increase the company and my career.
Okay, so peer-to-peer support would be something that gave you the platform to motivation.
Without that, I think I would have been just lonely and frustrated. And
Thank you. Maya?
Actually, I would like to continue with this peer-to-peer, because I think this is one of the main things also as a teacher. I see that just the highlighting of talents or of filmmakers is actually related to that. So at least at the school where I work, it is interesting because there are my colleagues, mostly men, they are really, really supportive and very good teachers also to our female students, which makes the major part. I think 2/3 are female of our students. But when it comes to actually promote the films or the projects when they are finished, they sometimes just forget about the projects of the female students, and they only somehow realize that these projects are good and successful when they had festival successes, and then it comes somehow back. But just from like the spontaneous reaction, this peer-to-peer, where you see yourself maybe 15 years ago in another person and you like to support this. I think this is maybe a bit underestimated, but this is, for me at least, the most important thing in this whole discussion, at least in the independent field. As Tina said, it's very different when you go to the industry. And the other thing, what I think is affecting most filmmaking and the life as an author, as a female author, is mothership. And it is also something, maybe because sometimes animation is a young industry, or at least the female part of this independent filmmaking is quite young. There are not so many, let's say, there are older older female filmmakers, but I think it is really interesting to talk about parenting and also mothership in this connection. I have a friend in Zurich, he's a photographer, and when he is taking care of his kids and a phone call comes, from somebody who wants to hire him, he says, I'm abroad, or I'm away. And I think this is really, for me, this is annoying. Why don't you say that you are a responsible father and taking care of your kids? But also me, when I am a mother and I'm saying this, I feel from the other person this kind of, maybe she's not that professional if she is also thinking on other things. And I think this is really something that's for me completely impossible. And I'm really not patient anymore about this fact, and I think we should get over it very fast.
Thank you. We will return to that in a bit. But first, maybe Matea, sorry. Could you also, as a festival producer, give us your perspective on the question?
I will show you my perspective through statistics, which I love. I'm sorry for everybody who doesn't, but I really think statistics is beautiful. So I would just like to ask Matea to put the slide I prepared. I hope you can see it well. So it's not very beautiful, but I hope it illustrates what we were talking about. These are the numbers for the selection by category for the festival I work for, Animafest Zagreb, in the last 5 years. The red highlighted numbers are when it has something to do with female. So if you see highlighted red year, it was a year where female filmmaker did our illustration and trailer, which gives exposure and whole tone of the festival, I would say. Also highlighted in red are the years and categories in which female-directed film won in that category. So if you see this, and I think the most drastic case is in 2020, in student film competition, more than 80% of films were directed by female directors, so female students of animation. And when we go to short film competition which is a professional one, you can see that the percentage drops to 30%, which is, I knew that, we all know that, but and we were all talking about it, but when I go through, when I did the statistics, I was really shocked about it. And then when you go to feature film competition, you have zero, in 2020 we didn't have it, 0, but in a year where we did have it, female co-directed film won. So, yay. But I think it shows a lot. So when the money and professional engagement is involved, the percentage of female filmmakers drops drastically. I also wanted to check what's going on in female films for children competition, because I think there is a stereotype that female directors are the ones that are connected with films for children. But I was surprised that it's not really that much. And I think in here, the one with the 53% of female-directed films is because 5 of the films in our children's competition were Slovenian films directed by male directors. And the red one in first category is Špela, Čadež, Nighthawk, which won the Grand Prix. So when female directors from Slovenia make film, they win, and when guys are doing them, it's for children. Okay. So Slovenia is a very peculiar country, I would say. But what is shocking here, and I didn't have time to go through the number of the percentage in submissions, because we all have almost 2,000 submissions per year, so it would just take too long. But it's evident that the more money is involved, the less women are attached to projects. I don't know what to say. And I have to also say that we always take care that in our selection committees we have at least 50% of female selectors and also at least 50% of jury members. So it's not that guys were watching films in a professional competition and said, yeah, we're not selecting that. It's just that there were no female-directed films in comparison with male-directed films.
Okay, I see, Luce, you're ready for a comment.
I think it's super interesting, and of course I think it would be great to have more numbers from different festivals, but I just wanted to share my own statistic experience. I used to work for the French animation school networks in France, that is still named L'Eureka, and I made some statistics also to know who was in schools, and it was also mostly women, except in the really technical or VFX education grade. But what we also analyzed was the fact that for all the fundings that was without names, it was mostly equal, like as much women and as much men were like getting the grades. But when you were going to selective grant, it was dropping at 20 or 30% per year. So it was also interesting to see that male names were like getting more money, kind of. And at this time, and it's also interesting to see that the first film made by a director who were coming from the short film industry has finally came out, which is The Crossing by Florence Mihai. And before it was only French film co-directed by maybe 2 women or mixed couple, or people who were not coming from the short film industry before. Or it was foreign directors like Anka Damien, or like, so for us it's like finally in France we have female directors coming from the short film industry, like making feature films. And the film didn't really work out in the cinema theater in France. So let's see when it's going to rehappen.
Okay, thank you. So in general, what you mentioned a few times, and was also something that I wanted to discuss a bit, is like in Slovenia, a share of women graduating from film directing is 30%, while in the 10 years average of women directors applying for funds at Slovenian Film Center is 10%. So my question is, what happens, because also here we see a drop of percentage of women from student film to competition. What happens? Where do they disappear, and what are the obstacles? What should we change to enable women to proceed like a career in film, in animation?
I think those statistics were done on the film studies at the academy here in Ljubljana, so it's really applied to general.
Yeah, it's general film, not
film
animation.
studies.
Yeah,
Not animation per se. I think a general drop rate of any student continuing in their field is quite obvious or quite usual, I would say. But in the field of animation, the number of graduates is not a very high one in Slovenia, at least. I know of a number of students or graduates who simply felt animation was too hard. It's, too tough. It is true, of course it's true, and students coming in are kind of not really aware of that. Some come back to it. One of our students, I don't know if she's here today, she graduated a year or 2 ago and was like, I'm never gonna do animation again, went off to study masters in something different, is now working at a company. So kind of not having the urge to produce or to author, to direct her own film. It seems so now. Who knows what will happen next? But I think it's this, what we are, at the biographies we read at the beginning were a bit outdated. I think what I would perhaps stress more is what we are also doing in the association of the Slovenian Association for Animated Film, where we are trying to connect exactly this gap between graduates or finalizing students to sort of professional world, offering them some, let's say, consultations, seminar on authors' rights, contracts, stuff like that, which even if we would want to include that at the university, it's simply often too soon, because it's so far away that students perhaps don't really don't feel it's something they need to know or understand.
It's not relevant at that point.
Not relevant, thank you, yes, that was the word I was looking for. And I think it was interesting also to see, because this is something that we had just this week, this seminar with a lawyer kind of explaining really cases from a contract, right? And a lot of the younger ones who were invited kind of had other things that are important to them, and it's fine. But authors who are, I don't know, already working since 10 years or 15 years, they're like, oh yes, I need to go there and I need to, kind of check it out. So it's something that I think you realize with time. When you're faced with a contract, you're like, I have no idea what that means. What do I do now? And you don't have money for a lawyer. Stuff like that, which kind of gives you, power, or puts someone in a power
in general,
position.
A support system to walk you to, like, from education to professional
We're
career.
trying. Yeah.
Yeah, we are planning something different in the Lucerne school, to have let's say, film politic and after study thread in the beginning, but also after the studies. And we are also setting up like a Rechtsberatung, how can you say this in English? Like a lawyer who is, you have like 1 hour with that lawyer for free if you are a member, and then what you need more, we have to discuss it with this person. So we are also setting up these kind of things. In Switzerland, the situation in animation is there are slightly more than 50% women getting grants and getting financed. But as you see that 2/3 of the people like graduating from school, it's still slightly less than half, or I would say. I mean, I'm not so much into statistics, but in that way, at least. Yeah, so basically, I think it is the same thing. You have to talk to your students, and you have to somehow highlight them and give them the, tell them how great they are, basically.
Okay, but when you think, can you think of some other tools or a support system that could be helpful? I know Matea mentioned before, in the festival environment, you know that if you want to have a career, you're producing, you don't have a family, you don't have time for that. So maybe also this, but also I wanted to give 2 examples that come from performing arts, like from Slovenia, just maybe to give you an idea of what kind of support I'm talking about. So, for example, we have residencies funded by Ministry of Culture for artists in Slovenia. And if you want to travel with a child or a family member, you must reimburse the costs for their staying in the residential apartment. The residency doesn't include scholarship, just travel and the use of apartment, and you have to pay if you want to go with the family. That's one case. And then the second one, when self-employed in culture submit references for the past 5 years to extend their right for paid social transfer, care work or maternity leave is not a case where, or caring for elderly family members, it's not, it doesn't influence the criteria by which you are measured. So regardless of care work that you had in this period, you still have to measure up to the same criteria. So this is the kind of incentives I'm talking about, and maybe are there some similar obstacles or some specific for the field of animation that would help young authors also in the early years to build on the career?
I have a feeling it's a problem that is connected with the entire cultural industry, not just animation. I mean, I have children, but many times I say that I have them because I had them before I started working in this field. But to be honest, I don't see how. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have them, but I don't see how with a field that's so insecure in terms of steady jobs, the salary that is high enough, and stuff like that. How could I do it? But it's not just a sad social story. It's also the job I do. I find very attractive and very interesting, and you get hooked on what you do, and you really care about these festivals. And you can't even see a moment when you will drop it because you have other things to do. Maybe I'm insane, but that's how it is. My children are big now, and now I have a feeling that I can really take care of my job too, not only them. But it is insecure, and I think that is very important to and I think if it's a female boss employing people, that you encourage your colleagues to take steady jobs and to find opportunity for them to have it, and to say all the time, it's okay if you want to have other things than your job, because it became very unpopular to be somebody who will take the time off to take care of other things than your job. So Ornella, you can have children. Ornella, do you hear me? I will cover for you.
Yeah, I mean, Switzerland is a disaster for family planning. Children's care is very expensive. It depends a lot where you live. Zurich is not such a disaster because we have a red-green government. Kaspar, my partner, had 1 day off when becoming a father. For a wedding, you get, I think, a week off. So just to, or maybe for changing your house or something, but it is just ridiculous. Now we have this 3 weeks father holiday. So the problem is really also there. It is something that is a structural and political problem, and it should be just parenthood, in my opinion, because then it is a shared thing and it also gets more valued. And on the other hand, it is very difficult because we are raised with a certain mother image, and also that comes with a lot of control, and in a weird way also with power. And when you want to share parenthood with your partner, you have to give up a certain power that is related to women and motherhood. And I think there is a psychological problem and a political problem. And I think this has to move parallelly. Yeah.
I don't have kids, so I never really faced any kind of this situation in the company, as my team is quite young, and in fact, what I can, like right now, I just have a new employee, and she's a mother, and she has a 9 years old kid, and it's a lot of new situation that we have to figure out, like, especially with COVID, because it's like, oh, the class is closed, what we do, and we are learning the process every day, and it's quite interesting because I always have been like projecting myself with my team, maybe at a certain point, having kids, or even having some example of women who are running companies and who has been in maternity leave. I think I only have one good example around me of someone who figure out that she will be out of the office during 4 months and recruit someone 6 months to just be able to take the time to be with her baby for like 3 months after the birth. And I think we need more example of that, because maybe I would have kids in other example around me. I don't know, maybe not, because it's not really my thing, but I think what is interesting when you are running a company is to figure out all these different situations. And for example, I was speaking with one of my associates from Miyu Distribution, and he was like, oh yeah, we're going to put hygienic products in the bathrooms, like tampons and stuff. And I was like, we always have that in the office, like something that we never really think about, but just because for us, it's mostly women working in the company, and we always have been like, yeah, this is a bathroom, and we put whatever we need, and it's never has been something planned. And yeah, so I think we need more example and speaking more about what we can do for running this kind of company, or just making companies better place. One of the things that I've been doing lately is whenever someone, especially women, I mean, mostly women, when they are telling me they have new positions, I'm always asking about their raise. And most of the times I didn't ask for it. Like, oh, I'm going to run this. And I'm like, oh, cool. How much are you going to make after that? And they're like, oh, this is just a try, and we will see. And I'm like, what the fuck? You are going to have more responsibility. You will have less time to do other things, and you don't ask for more money. That's a problem. And in the same situation, I was aware of that because I have now we are 6 employees inside of Miyu Distribution. And the first person who negotiates his salary when he has a full-time job in the company was a man. And I was like, oh, how I'm going to deal with that? Because it was not fair from my other colleagues. And I was like, okay, so I'm really disturbed by the fact that I will maybe pay him more than the other ones that arrived. And finally, I decided to just not take any decision and ask them to think about it and maybe find a solution by themselves, because I was starting to think maybe he should work more, or maybe, like, it was really starting to be really tricky, and I just decided to step back and let them think about it. So at the end, they all get a little raise, but we find a way that they find a way about how many times they were working for the company before as non-permanent employee, and it was really clever, and I think I would have never found that by myself. So also that, like, letting them think about that was interesting, and yeah.
So maybe like as a model to like openly discuss the system of awarding employees within the companies, and finding the criteria that is just to everyone, to bring in all the perspectives.
Yeah, I think for us it's really important to be super transparent on the money system, because I feel that if we don't do that, it will be, of course, the women who will not ask for a raise or ask for more money, because they will never feel like welcome to do it. And if we are super like open about it and transparent, I think it will be just something mechanical. And if someone is starting to argue, like, everyone is going to improve their situation. And also for me, it's like something that I realized is because of my employees that I starting to have weekends, because they were like, oh, you should not send us emails during weekends because then we have too much work when we are coming back. And I was like, good idea.
What about the others? Do you feel like you have, you are in position to discuss like equal payment within the surroundings you work in?
I think, how should I put it? We're so underpaid, all of us, that, you know, I don't even want to go there in this discussion because yeah.
Okay, but do you think, like, because this is what I wanted to start with, like, can we talk about the relation, because you said now twice, we're not the main industry, we're independent animation, we are, like, the budgets are so low, but do you think, can we make a correlation of, like, is the position of women or in other gender minorities better because of like the overall, not, because there's not so much power, there's not so much money, compared to the the giant film industry?
Well, I mean, Slovenia film industry is also not giant. That's period. But in author-wise, yes, in Slovenia we have a very specific situation with kind of, I would say, Špela starting a wave of Slovenian animation in contemporary times, like making it really visible and towards the inside within Slovenia, but also towards internationally. And there some authors followed or are following, and there I'm really happy that the debut that we're now producing by Zarya, but it took a really long time also for her to really step up and say, okay, yes, I want to do a film. In terms of industry-wise or sector-wise, not industry, but sector, we produced at the association, we produced not scenic price list, sort of a recommended price list for the sector a few years ago, with being aware of the fact that mostly this is can be taken or can be at least shown to projects coming from the commercial side. Because we know if we take this for our independent produced films, you know, we can't make, we can perhaps make one film per year or in all of us together, because it's simply not viable. Whereas, of course, at the film side, you have, you know, a DOP earns that much per day, and that's it. Again, you know, a DOP in a commercial project would earn even more, but it's all, this is all the little steps that come to animation. So, yeah, that's the world we live in. I don't know if that's kind of has to do then with who is working in the field. I think we're just all enthusiasts, you know. And I really agree with what Maja said, just trying to inspire and kind of, yeah, giving people the feeling that it's worth what they're doing and keep doing it.
I am feared for my high budgets. So I really try to make budgets that actually work. And I agree with what you say, that you cannot put the salary that would be actually there. But still, I think in Switzerland there is also a slight problem that the teachers at the school are coming from Germany and have just a different idea about budgeting. So we had these discussions, and I mean, what you can do it's also a bit difficult if you are working in a very small team and you do everything yourself almost. You also divide yourself in different roles, fields, yeah. You know, I mean, sometimes you maybe just do very dull work that could be done by an intern, and then you cannot put yourself a salary that you actually have as the position that you do. So it's like a bit of you switch yourself in different, or at least that's how I calculate. So I am my intern, my keyframe animator, my in-betweener, so you can also somehow work with that. But what is now a discussion quite virile in Switzerland, it is actually director and script writers are always last in earning. So as soon as you are giving the work to other people, it is actually a problem of making a living with your films, because you are always the last who is paid, because the film is your baby.
Yeah, but maybe it's also a female thing. Also, festival is my baby, obviously, because when I went through my budgets from last few years, everything went up, except for
it's not female,
for salaries.
It's also directors.
Okay, yeah. But now we're here, girls here, so I'm saying every category in the budget went up, except for salaries of 2 core team persons that are both female. Yeah. So everything else, some things went up for 40% up, and our salaries are always the same. And I'm the one who will say who will get how much. Everybody and everything is getting much, but you know, yeah, we have to persevere. You know what? At what cost? I think it's a thing that should be settled on therapy, not here on panel. But I'm the last one to be paid is obviously a.
Yeah, but what I meant, the discussion with the funders is there, that actually directors and script writers, no matter what gender they have, they should be paid better. Because before that it was just a problem when you would put a real amount into the budget, but at least there is already a discussion. This is what I meant.
That's
I like how we managed to transform this into the conversation about how to make the sector better in general for everyone, yeah, putting things in a broader perspective. I think it's important. I mean, I would like to. I mean, there are comparisons about budgets to like given to male and female directed films, but I think that Tina made quite a good point. So like that here, like at least in Slovenia, but maybe also just to reflect also in your countries, because this is such a small sector. Maybe these relations are not really applicable, so like what I'm trying to pull out a conclusion here is like at what point you know, can we start thinking, is it because it's so small and there's less power in the sector, is this why there's a more equal position? You know, where is this line? Can we talk about feminization of, in a way, you know, because there's such a small money and so little power in these positions. I mean, I'm teasing a bit, but do you think that's a possible perspective also?
Yeah, maybe. Ines is there. I'm always amused by a question from media. Are we taking care of gender balance in our team, and how are we preventing pay gap between, first, there is no gender balance, we are all girls in organization. Well, of course, the guy is the artistic director, but it's the situation at almost every festival. And what pay gap between 800 and 700 euros? You know, it's not like there is a crazy fight. You know, this situation, your situation, where your male colleague is the only one asking for a raise. Nobody is asking for a raise because people know if we had money, we would give it. You know, it's not highly competitive market because the stakes aren't high.
No, but he just felt that he can ask for it.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's the key issue here, like where kind of coming in, taking something as your own, being, okay, no, I'm an author and I can do this film because I'm male, and once we get to the point that's everybody does that, that's fine, yeah. But what I also wanted to point out, I think I'll never forget the time when Špela came back, and that's how actually I came to producing animated films with her, when she came back from studying abroad, going here to film producers, because there were no animated film producers, and coming to them already with awarded films and films screened in Annecy and around, and they were just like, you know, just like some small animation stuff, like, what's this? They were just simply not interested. And like now, 10 and some years later, they're like, okay. And these are the same guys now coming to animation. And they are the same people, you know, they're, it's something like, one of them is saying, this was the biggest mistake that I made in my professional life. So, and back then it was just a girl coming, you know, from a small sector somewhere. So it's all a matter of perspective, yes, very much. And it's all about this, what you're saying, what Maja was also saying, there are more female students, but once it comes to distributing them, to showing them outside, it just tends to be forgotten.
Not in the first plan.
I would like to share an experience that I have last Annecy Film Festivals. So people know a little bit what I've been doing as a distributor, I've been really fascinated and interested into sexual representation in animation directed by women. And I made like two meetings with two really important producers from France. And both of them were like, oh, we want to do this program with short film about women and their body. And I was like, this is the people who have a lot of money. And starting where like I was in 2016 and I was making like some program in Kosovo or just like speaking about that with all my different friends. And these guys are jumping in short film industry with the themes that I was interested in like 6 years ago, and I was like, oh, they're going to make money with it. And yeah, so it was a program of short film about women and their body, and the other was like about selling a short film to Netflix about sexiness and yeah. So that's also my feeling is sometimes working in this short film industry, it's also a way to bringing subject and talents aware in all the industry, but in the same time, the money is like going to the other people's pocket. So I don't know how to feel about that, but it's something that's really disturbing me on the artistic.
Yeah, it's a
Pioneer problem.
Sorry?
It's the problem of being a pioneer.
yeah, and maybe like self-confidence and like the attitude which you bring to the table, I guess, that we are raised with. Okay, I would like to transfer us a bit to another topic, which is safe environment, working environment in different aspects of animation, from education to production festivals. We've heard like a lot of things coming out, and I would just like to, because you come from different countries, start with asking you, do you notice any systemic like shifts? Is this something that is the attention is being paid to within your respective contexts?
The only scandals we had in Croatia were connected with students of artistic academies. One of them was Academy of Fine Arts, where animation is studied, and the other one was Academy of Dramatic Arts. And last year, the movement started with, I don't remember the motto of it, but it was obvious that female students were raising their voices against sexual harassment of male professors. And the concrete results, we got them actually 2 weeks ago. 3 professors, male professors, are suspended from academies, and all 3 of them were regular professors, like the highest level, which means that obviously the academies decided to deal with it in very serious ways. So I guess that will be a step forward to female students feeling more safe, but not much was said about professionals.
Okay, what about like? Do you feel like there's like some systemic changes within the academies preparing? Like, is this an issue that is going to be solved case by case, or is there something that is being prepared in advance?
No, I think that every big decision like this one that went public right ahead is something that first will put fear into
raising awareness.
Yes,
also.
Yes, and also giving a chance for anybody else to step forward and be really heard, and not just yeah, right, she's just saying that, because these were like very serious examinations of those cases, and the guys really are suspended now indefinitely. So I suppose that is a start.
I mean, in terms of academies, I can only speak for the one where I work also, or for the university. that it's in process, but sort of protocols of how to deal with, well, not only how to deal with reported cases, but also like for both sides, both for employees and also students, how to approach this as if something happens. Yeah.
To have a clear guidelines, protocol.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And to have some like trustee person, both at each of the, like at the academy itself or faculty, and but also as one external as the main university who is not affiliated with the others, yeah, faculties or the academy. So that's something. It's happening slowly, slower than I think we would have all wished for, because on some level there is not enough, I would say, wish for this at the highest level, or perhaps not everybody sees the need for this. But yeah, it's in the process.
At the Lucerne school, I would say there weren't any cases as far as I know. I think that the question is more a bit problem of trust, because the team is male so far. So it is also a bit a question to whom these students would come, if that would have happened. But I think there is a very open atmosphere, and people, students really talk also about their problems, psychological problems, because everybody is very open with their own problems they have, the teachers and also the head of the department. So I think it would come out if something would happen. But the students are really very aware of it and very political about it. So I think in the last 3 years these topics were raised, and they are also aware of it. So I think under themselves, under their peers, they would actually focus on it if it would happen and would raise their voices.
So for France, the National Center of Cinematography oblige now the different companies that can get some fundings to make their producers and the owner of companies assisting to a moment where they are getting information about all these questions. The different organizations in France, especially 50/50, are like really bringing more awareness, and you can see that at least everyone is trying to taking care of in the different level. It's really institutional in some sort of way. In the different animation schools in France, I think people have been like working hardly, especially more about moral harassment, and especially after COVID, like really trying to taking care of their students after that, because it has been questioned on different level and not only on sexual level. But it's also, for me, a weird situation, because, for example, when the CNC, the French national fundings, are making the producers going to this kind of talk and trying to exercise themselves, we also have some feedbacks of, I think they don't have a clue of what's happening. So it's for like the big production company, but yeah, I'm curious how things are going really to move. I think we will see that in the next 3 years, because it's just happening during the COVID time. So let's see. But I had heard some really funny stories of guys who were just complaining and explaining stuff. So I'm really curious. Let's see.
Because I will also invite at this point Ines back to our table, because what I would like to dedicate the last part of our talk to is to maybe come up with some like small scale measures and maybe bring the debate discussion a bit towards tomorrow talk about what can festivals do for safety of women authors. So I will ask maybe first Ines to introduce us to some examples from the EVA research that you mentioned to me. And I will also present you some guidelines that we at City of Women developed as a guidelines for organizations to, and some systemic changes to ensure better working environment. And then I would like to conclude with also thinking very practically on a very small scale within your contexts. For example, what can I as a festival producer do? What can I as a teacher in a classroom? What are maybe some like small actions on an everyday level that we can pay attention to and like make this environment more friendly? Because there are a lot of small things that we notice, but somehow we don't always react on them maybe, and if we just maybe sometimes just paying attention to them will like start moving things slowly into a friendlier and better direction. So first Ines, please.
Thank you. I think you summarized it already greatly, because I think you also tackled really important topics, all of you. And like you mentioned, I think we have to take these baby small steps, because sometimes we are already doing things. We are not aware of them. And maybe sometimes men are those who are, like you mentioned, in the bathrooms, you have, you arrange the bathroom towards, like when you have women employed. And you're already doing things without, you're not aware of them. But actually, what are these like good practices or measures that we have to talk about is like always, like address this underrepresentation of female directors and female artists also in educational programs. We have to equalize the distribution of public funds. I think this is a really important thing. And I think we have to achieve equal representation and greater awareness on commissioning boards as well. So on decision part, and also achieve equal representation and greater awareness on also incentivize producers to support female directors. I think this is also one important thing, and to have a support and targeted strategy for publicity and advertising and distribution for female artists and directors. This was also summarized by this European Women's Audiovisual Network, and I think Animafest is already taking these baby steps by talking out loud about this topic, and maybe I would also. We were talking about numbers before. It was great to see that you gathered the festival numbers. I don't know if somebody at the Matea team was doing this measurements or numbers.
The statistics to make them look a little bit nicer. So this year they'll take out of 7 animated features. 3 are made by women. The first French ever, Florence Miai, but then Michaela Pavlatova and Ilse Jakobsen. And 1 is co-directed by a female and male director. So I think that we are also like here with the numbers 4 features that are, but it's pioneering.
Igor, we didn't have female directors submitted for selection. It's not like we didn't select them. There were, it was like maybe 6 or 7%. I didn't make precise statistic, but 6 or 7% of films in feature competition that were submitted were made by women.
Yes, that's to say that still the big average and the big number is still directed by men, but with the quality level, and it's this year, maybe it's this year, it will start, the quality level of a female directed animated feature. Let's not talk about short, because like I think at Animafest this year, we had the idea that we would stick her story to many other films, not only the one in the retrospective. But then we didn't went further because of LGBTQ plus, so on and so on. Because it's not only her and him nowadays. You have to be aware of other sexual orientation. But so for me, it's important to say that for a long time there was no entry for female directors to work on a feature film. Maybe Marjan Strapi was the first one, become very successful.
Co-director. She was co-director.
Yes, with Vincelus. But now it's maybe the point where everything is getting a little bit more normal, to say, in this specific field that it's animation film, where the industry is as well looking at what's happening in the independent production and what is going on. And just one thing more to add, the data about Ines told it, 45% of festival directors being female. So before somebody said...
When you fill out application form for media, you say that the person that organizes the festival is festival director. Okay. So I'm festival director for my festival.
We have like so many, like Fantoche,
and who are
so on and so on, where female are becoming also program directors.
Of course, I'm not saying that there are no, and it's the same thing where you said there are female directors of feature films. Yes, if I would take also 2016, we had Anka Damian with Grand Prix in feature film competition, but then you had nothing, you know? It's now, nice incidents. We have women doing something, yes, but on a great scale of things, there are no women doing, things that are attached to large sums of money. Okay. Let's hope that this year, with your selection of feature films, shows a great trend for future.
It's true.
But
I leave it to finish with Urška's, but just to mention, it's another discussion, it's next year debate. Female producers, where Ines stated also it's like equal in the production field. So as much female producers as male producers. But it would be interesting to understand why those female producers are not giving more chances to female directors. So it's another discussion, another topic, not even to get to the topic of managing director.
If you look at female directors who did have funding, they almost I'm talking about Croatia now, they're almost always attached to female producer. Mm-hmm. So female producers do give chance to female directors, but not only them, but male producers don't give chance to female directors. I will come back with more statistics next year.
I also wanted to suggest maybe like the statistics. Okay, you told us the numbers for this year. It would be nice to see the 18 years statistics. And also what we have been discussing is like the competition and other programs and retrospectives and so on. It's, it's a wider picture that we're trying to address.
And I'm sure, the part of the applications should also give a view on that. But I mean, statistics is a very good thing, but on the other hand, yes, you can skew it very much, as you say. For media, you put in that you have a director, but who are the selectors? Who are the program, the artistic directors of the festivals? That's something that I would be interested in knowing across animation festivals in Europe.
But wasn't it like Fantoche signed this committee that they will program half-half? Or am I wrong?
They will program? I didn't.
Yeah, 50, I mean, like that you just program half-half. Why not? I mean,
we, as I said, we always have more than 50% of female selectors to ensure at least that. We're not going to say, okay, from all the films we like, we will take 50% of this and 50% of that. We're not doing that, but we are trying to, not trying, but having.
Can I? Why not? Can I make a
comment? Oh, yeah.
Hello. I wanted to make a comment to continue about the statistics. It's actually Julie Roy from National Film Board of Canada published a few years, I think like 2016 maybe. She made the statistics for selected films to Ottawa, Annecy, and I think Zagreb also, or maybe also only Annecy and Ottawa. It's published on NFB, on like you can find it from on NFB website. basically this is the argument you made. So this is not a new thing, and she already. So you can also find a source with her with this reference. But I also remember talking to her in 2018 when she made this comment that since VR is now the new hype, and since the biggest money now you can find in VR, she cannot mention any women involved in the creation of VR. So it's a male toy.
We had one female director VR project in 2021 VR competition, and it won. It got
2018. That was this conversation.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So when they do it, they win. So they should just get the opportunity.
You wanted.
No, I just wanted to say that VR, it's like CGI. I don't care. No, I'm joking. It's just to rebound on your talk before.
Okay, to return to the small steps. Maybe first one is to deal with the statistics and in a very critical way, not to, as you said, they can be skewed easily and used to one favor. But I would really like to go through these like incentives that could be made to make the environment more friendly, safer, as a starting point also for tomorrow's discussion. This is really something I wanted to kind of breach for tomorrow's discussion. So I will just go through them, and also we mentioned, I think, some small steps during our discussion. I will also go through them, and then I would really like just to have a final round of what else can be done on this small scale. So what we said, we did these guidelines for gender equality in culture that had different chapters. I'm just summing up the guidelines, the measures that could be applied for securing better working environment for women and other gender minorities. So funders should establish clear guidelines and control mechanisms, also sanctions, for their public institutions to actively support a safer and more respectful working environment. We did with this document address ministry and municipalities who are the funders also of public institutions. The second one is ensuring training in public institutions and NGOs for men that they work with on inappropriate behavior, language in the workplace. They should educate them on recommended conduct and speech that enables women to work in a safe and respectful workplace. The Ministry of Culture and local authorities should support projects and programs to raise awareness of different forms of psychological, physical, sexual, and economic violence. Ministry of Culture and Ministry of Education should launch an awareness-raising campaign on the issue of sexual harassment, which should include different channels to reach different audiences, so online, leaflets, posters in public space, and so on. We should have annual trainings on harassment and violence accessible also to female and male workers, so also for women to be able to recognize it and how to react and how to where to get support. Have training for employees and volunteers in NGOs working in the field of violence prevention and victims assistance in the cultural sector. So to also educate how to help the victims, and also to have something that Tina mentioned, like clear procedures and people who are responsible for to whom the victims can turn to, so that they also get not only like legal advice but also psychological support throughout the whole process. So like to sum it up, to educate, to have clear measures, to support also the victims of gender violence. So this is more like on an institutional and large scale and systemic level. but also, yeah, with like clear actions and clearly communicating about the paths, about who's the person that people can turn to. That's probably the first step that we can list. We did mention the importance of role models and of peer support in our discussion a lot. I would add to this list also what you said, like who are the people selecting the program. So also not maybe by setting up like quotas for the program, but giving like gender equality in the committees that select the programs. And also one of the things that came up also in the last days of discussions, like a small thing that we can start with is like naming the colleagues in the team. I've noticed in the last 2 days that a lot of times when artists who were presenting their projects, when they were talking about male colleagues, they all had name and surname. But then we heard about Veronica, Marica, Maja, Sarah, and so on. I wrote down some that they don't have a surname, you know? They're like, this is what's happening throughout the history. This is how women are becoming anonymous because, you know, they are not even recorded with the full name. So like a small step, like that each individual could do, it's just like to name your colleagues with full name, not just the first name. It's something that I noticed in the last 2 days, and it struck me. It's like, wow, this is what is happening, like on a very like linguistic level. So what else can we add to? There's probably also
Everybody ran away from my statistics. I'm so sorry.
No, but also maybe there are some ideas in the audience. I see you very poorly because of the light.
Yeah, I have a question. It's actually connected to this copyright law, author law workshop we were on with Tina. And there was this law I was really surprised by. It was about who counts as a co-author for animation. Because animation in Slovenia and probably also in Europe is kind of shoved into audiovisual law, which was created for film, I think. It feels like that. And people that are protected by the copyright law are the director, the sound designer, the director of photography, and the producer. And if it's an animation, also the lead animator, but not, for example, the lead art designer, not the editor, not the costumographer and stuff like that. And I was wondering if you feel this is also something that kind of skews the gender balance and skews the gender representation in perhaps our industry is too small to actually stand out. But for example, even in a small team, if a person is doing art design or puppets, they're not counted as a co-creator in a law sense.
Yeah, I think this is a very Slovenian, this was the Slovenian law that we were speaking about, or that the lawyer presented. But I would be interested in what the situation is actually in France or in Switzerland in terms of author rights. I mean, what Bibi Erjavet was speaking about is that we have the levels of authorship that we have, right? So interesting. You have a co-author, someone who counts as a co-author. You have the actors and the musicians, not the composer, but the musicians. Those are the second group, and then the third group is authors of autori prispevkov, authors of parts of an audiovisual work in this case. So, yeah, in Slovenia, it's a scriptwriter, author of dialogues, the composer, the director, and main animator in case of animation. So what we are starting to address, because it was non-existent, that the art design, basically the visual imagery of a film has no co-author status in the film. So yeah, I would be interested in actually also what the status is in Switzerland or in France.
As far as I know, that's a bit embarrassing because I should know. It's just directors and script writers, and there is the associations with Simage who is taking care of the rights, and the composers are also protected because they have CEEA. This is like the author thingy of the music people, and that's it.
Yeah, so this is really not my specialty, but maybe it's a moment that if you sell any films to French television, you should declare yourself as a French author society, because they can give you some money back. And if I'm remembering well, and then if you don't ask for this money back, they will just being more rich, which is just making sense. But yeah, when I was working in production, I remember filling the document about authorship, and I think you can choose who you want to put inside. So, for example, the graphic designer from the original idea was someone that you can put inside. The storyboarder can also have a part of the creation, and then it's just you who deal who is going to have how much part of the rights at the beginning, and you have also the music and the sound aside. I don't know if it's better, but it seems
it's very country specific. So each country has their own regulations, I would say. I mean, for the Slovenian students around, yet kind of joining in the collective organization is for authors' rights, which here is AIPA. I think it's a must. And I mean, they are half forced to in a good way because they can get some funding there or some scholarship, which is only a good thing. And I think this kind of incentive should continue. But yeah,
okay, but I would now return us from this detour to the closing thoughts of. Okay, we have one more. Yeah, sorry.
Hi. I wanted to offer another perspective on what you showed us about student directresses as opposed to short film directresses, and also to the importance of peer support. So I'm a recent graduate, and I studied in a few animation departments where the percentage of female faculty ranged from like 0 to 15. And it's like, it's so important to see women who are making films. And students don't get to see that because there are no women on their faculties. And I think it's an international problem. And also, like, I wanted to say thanks for this panel because like, it's this type of peer support, just, like being there and being a woman and being like, yeah, this is what I'm doing and it's what you can do too. That's something that academies aren't offering at all. And I think like Maja was talking about it a bit too. So, yeah, that's it. It's not really a question, but just, I think that's it.
Thank you. Closing thoughts, small steps.
Sorry, I just remember, why shouldn't we say just, let's put it
50-50.
50-50, because we have 80% of girls in student competition. Do we then lower them to 50?
No, it's at least 50-50, and I don't think you have to put that to slavery. It would be just interesting as a consideration that equal selection teams that doesn't make it more likely to have 50 films, So it would be just interesting to say the idea is to be at least 50% female filmmakers, and then you have to tell why it is not the case. But then you have to defend the films that are made by male filmmakers, and why you want to choose those instead of go for the 50-50. That would be something that you could think of, and it is not about artistic quality, because when you are looking at competition at a certain point, you have too many good films and you have to make a decision. So it's not that you have to search for good work from female filmmakers. So this, and then the other closing words, if I may do. I think this is a very good panel. And I was a bit afraid to take part in the panel because in some festivals it's now en vogue to do female panels. And it is a very well prepared panel with very interesting women on stage, and there is actual topics and not just having a female panel because you have to have a female panel nowadays, and I really like that.
So that's step one, making relevant women panels. Okay.
And having an audience, actually.
Any other thoughts?
That I would like to see more males also in the audience.
Yes.
Sometimes they're like zero.
No, and just I'm half kidding about this, about the audience, but only half. As a closing thought, yes, this is a start, and but of course, kind of taking into account and having the non-binary aspect always somewhere in the back of our minds and getting educated, basically. So even, you know, as males have to educate themselves about the female situation, all of us have to get educated also on the non-binary kind of perspective, because we are not aware of it. I mean, most of us, I would say. So that would be my closing thought on this.
Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, any last thoughts from the audience? Otherwise, I would also invite you to tomorrow's Stay Festive panel, which will also...
Keep festive.
Keep festive. Which will also continue the discussion about gender equality and festivals as safe space for women authors. Thank you, everyone. Bye.